Okay, let's talk about the literature review. If you're a student, a researcher, just hearing those words can be kind of stressful, right? It feels like this one single massive hurdle you have to clear. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? What if it's actually much more interesting than that?
So yeah, let's just ask it outright. What is a literature review really? Is it just a giant summary of a bunch of articles you read? Is it some rigid one-size-fits-all assignment? Well, not exactly. And honestly, that's really good news for all of us.
So, where are we getting all this? From this fantastic infographic that really lays everything out beautifully. We're going to walk through it together, and I promise by the end of this, these ideas are going to feel a lot less like homework and a lot more like tools you can actually use. Here is the big idea. The one thing I really want you to take away today. Stop thinking of the literature review as a single task. Instead, I want you to think of it like a researcher's toolbox. You wouldn't use a sledgehammer to fix a watch, right? Same idea here. Different research projects need different tools for the job. Okay, let's dive into this toolbox. We're going to open it up and look at 5 essential tools. These are 5 different types of literature reviews, and we're going to figure out what each one is for and when you should use it. First up, we've got the narrative review. Now, this is probably the one you've run into before. It's kind of the standard, all-purpose tool that most students learn to use first. Its main job is to summarize and interpret what a bunch of different studies are saying about a topic, giving you that broad overview.
So, when do you pull this tool out? Well, it's perfect when you're just starting and you need to get a general feel for a field. It helps you see what people are talking about and lays the foundation for your own research. You know, it's like surveying the land before you even think about building the house.
All right, now let's level up to the systematic review. If the narrative review is a trusty hammer, this thing is a high-precision, laser-guided drill. It is incredibly focused. It doesn't just give an overview, it aims to find and analyze every single relevant study on one super specific question. The word here is rigor. A systematic review follows a very strict, step-by-step plan that anyone else could follow to get the same results. The goal is to be exhaustive, to find everything and then pull it all together for a definitive answer. This is the gold standard in fields like medicine, where you need to know, without a doubt, does this new drug actually work?
Next up, the scoping review. I want you to think of this as your reconnaissance mission. It's like sending out a drone to map the entire landscape of research on a broad topic. Its job isn't to answer one specific question, but to see what's out there.
You use this to get the lay of the land. It tells you how big a topic really is, what areas have been studied to death, and, this is the important part, where the gaps are. Where is the uncharted territory? So if your question is something broad like, what research exists on mental health in athletes, a scoping review is your best first step.
Okay, time to bring out the heavy machinery. Meet the meta-analysis. This tool is all about the numbers. It takes research that has hard data, we're talking quantitative studies, and it doesn't just summarize them. It actually statistically combines their results.
And that's what makes it so incredibly powerful. Imagine you have 10 different studies, but each one only had a small group of people. A meta-analysis can pool all that data together, creating one huge virtual study. This gives you a conclusion that's way more powerful and reliable than any of those single studies could be on their own.
And finally, the last tool in our box is maybe the most creative one, the integrative review. This one goes a step beyond everything else. It doesn't just summarize or combine. Its goal is to critique the existing literature and then use all those pieces to build something new, a whole new framework, or a new theory.
What makes this one special is its ambition. It can pull from all sorts of studies, both quantitative and qualitative, to connect the dots in a way no one has before. You'd use this when a research area feels a bit chaotic or fragmented, and you think you see a new pattern that could bring it all together. It's all about pushing the whole field forward.
So now you've got the tools. Awesome. But even the best toolbox in the world won't save you if you fall into some really common traps. So let's quickly cover 5 big mistakes you absolutely want to avoid. Trap number 1, and this is the big one, a weak research problem. If your main question is fuzzy or unfocused, it doesn't matter which tool you pick. The whole project will be a mess. It's the foundation, and if that's shaky, the entire house is going to come down. Okay, this sounds a little ironic, doesn't it? One of the biggest traps in research is doing a bad literature review. It means you weren't thorough enough, you misunderstood what your sources were saying, or you just listed summaries instead of really connecting the ideas. You gotta nail this part.
Trap number 3 is a small sample size.
This is obviously a huge problem for a meta-analysis, which gets its power from big numbers. But it also matters for any review. If all the studies you're looking at are based on just a handful of people, your own conclusions are going to be built on pretty shaky ground.
This is so important. You can't just take every study you find at face value. A lack of validity means you've let bad research into your review, studies that are flawed, biased, or just plain unreliable. You have to be a tough gatekeeper and only let in the high-quality, credible work.
And finally, the last step that can trip so many people up: poor referencing. I know, it feels like a tedious detail, but in the world of research, it's a fatal flaw. It destroys your credibility, makes it impossible for others to check your work, and just signals that you didn't see the project through to the end.
Phew, okay, so we've looked inside the toolbox at the 5 key tools, and we've put up warning signs around the 5 biggest traps. Now it's time to bring it all home. Because the real secret is knowing how to match the right tool to the job you need to do.
And here it is, our whole guide on one screen. Think of this as your cheat sheet. Up top, you've got your toolbox: narrative, systematic, scoping, meta-analysis, and integrative. And down at the bottom, your 5 big warnings. Keep this handy, and you'll be in great shape. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Every research project really begins with a question. You can think of it as a locked door. Now that you have this whole set of keys, the only question left is, which one is the perfect fit to unlock the answers you're searching for?